I guess the best part for me would be just being up in the Highlands. I just love being up there. And the further north we went, just the hills got bigger, the scenery got just epic. The hills, the valleys, the rivers, everything just got more dramatic towards the end.
Without a doubt, the best part of this challenge was laughter. We laughed, we giggled, the deep-throated chuckle, the silliness, the humour, the jokes, and just opportunities so often just to laugh at each other. There isn't really a worse day that I can think of. It rained for an hour on day 2. There were times when the midges were a bit of a pain, but to be honest, they swarmed round Si, so it didn't bother me very much at all. So no, I don't have a worst day.
Definitely, this one's easy. The worst part was the Inversnator in Varana bit. The just being on that unmarked path that wasn't very wide, having to do rocky scrambles up and down with a sheer drop down into the Loch Lomond at times. It just way beyond my comfort zone, but huge thanks for Paul. Just his peace, his wisdom and his understanding of the situation really got me through. I really don't know how to cope if I had to do it on my own. Favourite part? Well, definitely the last stretch, coming through the Nevis Range, through Nevis Forest and popping out at the top, halfway up Glen Nevis with Big Ben Nevis in the background. We walked that area last year and just loved that whole area, the valley, the glen, and to come out still with 6 miles to go, knowing where I am, that's got to be my favourite part, and it probably will be the next place I go to when I go back to Scotland. I just love walking up there.
My favourite part was the mountains, yes. The mountains were grand. It was grandeur upon grandeur, but for me, and I did miss the last 2 days, so I didn't get to see the very big ones and the approach to Ben Nevis. But the piece de resistance was the bluebells, the beauty of the bluebells, great swathes of them along the banks of Loch Lomond, with the lake, the loch itself to the left, and these fields and banks of bluebells and may blossom, the hawthorn bushes and trees, radiantly white among the blue and the green of the leaves of the bluebells. It was beautiful and so restful on the eyes. Bluebells. The very toughest part for me was leaving Si to do the final 2 days on his own. That was so hard. My eldest brother had died. The funeral date came up and meant that I had to pull myself out, and that felt that I was letting down Si, first of all, because I'd made a commitment to support him and walk alongside him and help him out where it's tricky. But also, obviously, the people who were sponsoring the Message Trust for me and the door for Si. But, and obviously, the people for whom I was raising funds, which is the Message Trust work in prisons, walking alongside prisoners, our Message Prisons team, which I've been part of now for 4 years, and it's such a privilege to work with them. That was the toughest part, leaving and still feeling that I was letting people down. Tough.
Definitely the toughest part was day 7, having that gallbladder flare up and still walking 9 miles up what they call the Devil's Staircase, which I've renamed Stairway to Heaven. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have set off doing it on my own, but I just felt I needed to do the walk. Over the whole trip there were quite a few funny parts, but I guess the standout one for me, and definitely for Paul, was me getting stuck in the gate on day 2. Coming out off the top of Conic Hill, and quite a narrow gate, and with a big backpack on, it just wasn't going to happen.
Well, there's 2 candidates for the funniest part. One was the very first day when we were walking out of Mulgai, and I was talking about the bluebells, which we saw in the first 5 minutes, and the flowers and the richness and the beauty. And in my ears, from my companion, came the words, "I can hear a bus." But possibly even funnier was the moment when Si had trouble, as you'll see on the video of Walking Day 2, trouble getting through a stile. That was hilarious.
Very funny, very funny.
Again, yes, I would. I would get up there as quick as I can in the next few months, I hope, to do the last 2 days, which wasn't possible this time. But also, I honestly think that in my 80s, I would love to be fit enough to do that. There were no massively steep climbs. So if I keep myself fit in my walking, I want to do it in my 80s. That's my plan. Yes, I would do it again, especially if Si was available to do it with me.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe over less days. There are days that we were finished by lunchtime that we could have combined, and possibly do it less time, and quite possibly doing it without the Inversnater Inveranen bit, which was just the crazy, rocky, uncomfortable bit for me. But I guess just doing a walk with a really, really good friend who's got understanding of terrains and hill walking and stuff like that just really made the trip. So I know I'm going to say thank you to Paul in the thank yous, but just to have someone with experience to walk me through the tough parts and to have great fun. The banter, the jokes, the humour, the snoring was just absolutely awesome. It wouldn't have been the same without you, Paul. So massive, massive thank you. Thanks for agreeing to come on the trip with me.
I particularly want to thank Si, first of all, for the idea of this challenge in the first place. But secondly, for his companionship and conversation and the laughter that we had. We had the silliest, most superficial of conversations that were wonderful. And we had the deepest, most challenging conversation, talking about things like God and church and how we live out our faith in today's world. And yeah, I have a huge respect for Si and his sense of humour, and also the depth and the life and the passion that is within him. What's next for me? Well, in terms of a challenge like this, I've got my 69th birthday coming up. I want to do something based around that number. Last year it was 68k over 2 days with a bivvy bag night stop. So, ideas on a postcard, not rude ones, please. But late September, I want to do a walking challenge that 69 miles might be too long, 69k possibly, don't know, 69 hours, too long. Anyway, suggestions would be most welcome.
Well, we don't really have anything big planned, no big walks, but coming up in September is the Five Valleys Walk, which is a slightly different challenge. It's only 1 day, but it is over 20 miles, which is going to test different parts of the body, and the training is going to be different for that as well. So nothing planned, but we'll see. Never say never. So, thank yous. First of all, big thanks to Paul. He made the trip even better than what I thought it was going to be. Just the fun, the banter he had, and his wisdom and knowledge made it an awesome trip. Couldn't have done it with anyone with more experience and more knowledge. Thank you, Paul. Massive thank you. Big thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to all those that donated, whether it's a couple of quid or a couple of £100. It's a big thank you, and every donation's really going to help the two charities, the Door and the Message Trust. Again, thank you to all those who have prayed for us, who have supported us, who just loved on us for the whole time.
I have a lot of thanks. First, as I've already mentioned, to Si, to the company that organised it, and Si will do a full credit of that because he was the link man with them. Fantastic, smooth. But I particularly want to thank our sponsors, those who sponsored the work for the message. It means so much to me to be able to walk alongside lads who can't break the re-offending cycle. 60% of them sometimes, the young ones in particular, the young offenders, cannot break the cycle of re-offending. And for me it is when we get the opportunity to walk alongside those that want to change and just to encourage and listen and support on the inside and on the out in resettlement. That is such a privilege. And I do hope those who haven't had a chance to sponsor this work yet will do so. And the work of the door, which is phenomenal. I spent 7 years working for them. Amazing youth project. The premier youth work project in Gloucestershire. So huge thanks for all those who've turned out their pockets for us. Thanks, guys.
And finally, a massive thank you to Samantha Murray at Maximum Venture. The organising she did for the whole trip, and then when COVID kicked in and we had to postpone it for a couple of weeks, just the reorganisation was just so professional. Big thanks to Maximum Venture. And I just say, guys, that if you're thinking about doing a walk like this for the first time, do go through an agency, and I would highly recommend Maximum Venture. Just the level of detail they go into. Literally all you've got to do is turn up and walk. They've done all your bookings, your rooms, your taxis if you need them to get you to accommodation, and baggage transfers. It's just absolutely fantastic all round.